And here is our Monday edition of the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. It is minicamp week. We should have the full Browns squad in attendance. Practices Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of this week. So here's what we're going to do. We haven't done a draft in a while. We're going to draft what we're watching in this week's minicamp practices and all of that. So Scott will have the number 1 pick. I've got the number 2 pick. Mary Kay has the number 3 pick. We'll go 2 rounds. We'll see where we're at. Scott, go ahead.
Well, what I'm going to pick here, I'm wondering if it is the obvious choice, because I thought it was the obvious choice. But then, Dan, before we started recording, you said you thought you knew what I was going to pick, and that's not what I'm going to pick. I don't know where I am with this, but I'm going with Odell Beckham. You thought I'd go with Baker Mayfield, but I think for me, being able to see Odell Beckham Jr. back on the field and just what he looks like in whatever they have him doing is something I'm looking forward to seeing. You know, the entire starting offense comes back from last season, but really, I mean, Beckham is kind of like an addition to that because we only got to see him through really the first 6 games last year, and things really didn't take off or start to click, as we've noted, until, you know, after he was gone. So seeing him back and become part of that, whether it's, you know, individual drills or if he's part of 7-on-7s or however they work him into things, I think that's going to be something I'm most interested in seeing, because he's the one quote unquote new thing that this offense could maybe add to what they, you know, to all the success they had going down the stretch.
I had Odell as my number 1 as well. Absolutely looking forward to seeing that more so than anything. As you mentioned, you know, we haven't seen him since he tore the ACL on October 25th. He's only 6 months out, but when you see those workout videos, it's incredible what he's doing so far. I mean, it's Adrian Peterson level comeback from a torn ACL. And if he continues on that trajectory, he absolutely should be ready to go for the Kansas City Chiefs on September 12th. Now, I do think they will be cautious with him in training camp, in minicamp. There's no reason to rush anybody. We've already seen that during OTAs. If a guy has a soft tissue injury, such as a Malik McDowell or an Anthony Schwartz, they're being very, very careful with those guys. They want to get to training camp into the season healthy. So I don't think that you're going to see Odell take every single rep, but just to even see him out there is going to be a spectacle. It always is. If he does individual drills, which I'm sure he'll do that, if he does that, you know, does he really look, you know, sort of full speed? Is he cutting like he is in these social media posts that he's putting up? He just looks phenomenal, and I can't wait to see it live.
And just one more thing real quick on that. Think about, you know, Odell, Greedy Williams, Grantel, but 3 question marks about, you know, the guys who are coming off injuries last season. And we, you know, Greedy and Grant have both been on the field at this point in OTAs. And if you go into your break having had all 3 of those guys, you know, participating to some extent in practices, that crosses off some question marks going into training camp for sure.
Yeah, it's good to kind of know those guys are on the field before you kind of sit and spend the whole 3-4 weeks between the end of minicamp and training camp wondering if they'll be back. Yeah, look, Odell's the right choice here because we all want to see what he can do. And even if he just does individual drills, one of the things we've seen over the last few years is watching Jarvis and Odell do individual drills is almost as entertaining as watching teamwork in practice and stuff like that. They put on a little show when they do individual stuff with their one-handed catches, and Odell, the wannabe soccer player, every now and again you'll see that come out a little bit too. So I think this was the right choice.